Pharmaceutical Processing, in conjunction with INTERPHEX 2016, presents INTERPHEX Live.
All right, good morning, welcome back. So, implementing actual reality, virtual reality, I got that right, in biopharm and pharma development manufacturing. This is gonna be great. Personally, I'm totally ignorant here on this one, so, we have Angelo is co-founder.
Yep.
And we have Lance and the CEO, right, with the cool glasses. So we're ready to go. All right, help me out. AR, VR, right? Who's gonna define it for the dumb bald guy over here?
Lance, go for it.
There you go, Lance, you win.
AR, VR, and head-mounted displays. Think about a head-mounted display as a wearable computer on your face. Augmented, so there's a screen, you can look at the screen, get information, same as you would on a phone or a laptop, but with greater detail. Augmented reality is when you start to digitize the world in front of you. So I can see us, I can make a digital hat that went on your head or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then virtual reality is complete immersion. You put on a device, you close off the outside world, and you experience a completely digitized experience. So it's wearable computer, digitized reality, which is AR, and virtual reality is a complete total immersion.
Yeah, and then some of those augmented reality heads-up displays that Lance was talking about, here's a perfect example. So this is made by Lance's company. It's called the Vuzix M100. And we are using this constantly in pharma manufacturing and R&D. Because what's great about this is that you can be wearing this device, but be able to see information while keeping your hands completely free. So imagine being in the suite, troubleshooting something, someone halfway around the world, walking you through a problem. Maybe you have an equipment manufacturer in Italy that needs to help you out on something. He or she can see exactly what you're seeing in real time and be able to troubleshoot right then and there. Or you can pull procedures directly into the glasses as well.
Okay. So Patrick, why don't we step back? Okay, now we got the AR, VR, so where does this fit into our biopharm and pharmaceutical business?
Well, put it this way, I mean, just like any industry, this kind of device and technology allows you to access tremendous amount of information real time, and at the same time to free up your hands to do that kind of stuff. So imagine that in pharmaceutical industry, you have all those rules and regulations and processes. Imagine trying to carry a rule book and then do work at the same time. It's just, inefficient. So if you can always call up, always with the information will be displayed right in front of you, and you can follow those procedures and get things done. So where Rochester Optical comes in is, if you're wearing those devices on your head, kind of like glasses. So one of the things glasses for is for you to see well, right? If you have the device on your face and you couldn't see well, this doesn't do you any good. So in a way, what we do here is kind of like, with Lens, he provides the hardware, and then with Angelo, he provides the software. And what we do here, we provide the ability for the wearer to have visual acuity to see the head-mount display.
All right, so let's think about what's a typical application. Guys on the floor, Angelo, and obviously we're a document-driven industry. Everything is. So where does this fit in? Walk me through some. Where would this AR VR thing sit?
Sure. So what Patrick was mentioning, which was perfect, is that in the industry today, you see the paper binders everywhere. Every facility we walk into, somebody's working on a procedure, and they have the big old paper binder with the SOP right then and there, and they're trying to work on something over here with their right hand while having a procedure over here on the left, or they have to put it down, put it on the floor, find some place to put it. And instead, though, what we do with the glasses that we're doing today with 5 out of the top 10 pharma companies in the world, now instead, they put the glasses on, we pull from their document management system, we cut up the document into different steps, and they're pulled directly into the glasses now, so that while that person is working on a procedure, he or she has that exact same binder, let's say, but now instead it's in a head-mounted display. So they can work effectively, efficiently, and with the most up-to-date, current, and validated procedure right then and there, right in their glasses, without having to worry about where do I put this binder, where do I put this tablet, where do I even put this smartphone. It's all about being the most efficient while you're there and having an audit trail for management. So procedures now, when they're paper, you have no clue when somebody did something, when they did it, where they did it. And now instead, every procedure is fully documented. There's a full audit trail, so you know exactly when somebody completed something, made a mistake, recorded a value, or any of a number of other things, all associated with these procedures, hands-free.
So, in addition to my head display, I have to carry what?
That's it.
Smartphone?
Nope.
That's just it.
That's
okay,
it.
Lance, how's that work then? I mean,
Just this. I think to take a step back and you say, why does this matter? Why is it important? The human brain processes information sensory, right? 80% of the information the human brain processes is visual. Try to close your eyes and perform any of the tasks Angelo just described. Can't do it. Next, move to your hands. You know, there's tasks you can do with one hand, right? You can dribble a basketball, that's fine. Try shuffling a deck of cards. Try mixing up a batch of $2 million worth of pharmaceuticals. Things you don't want to do. What happens here is with the camera and the connectivity to the Wi-Fi, the local network, or what have you, not only can you perform your task better and have that visual information be faster, more efficient, and hands-free, the rest of your organization now has access to you and what you're doing immediately. So think about that document that was just filled out, the compliance document. No longer is that a paper binder, handwritten. This is now digitized and immediately available for review, access, whatever your company wants to do with it. Add a little AI and artificial intelligence to this, try to figure out better processes. It's about connecting the person, the process, and the rest of your data in a simple wearable device.
all right. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, a lot of the documentation we do is interactive. You know, obviously, you know, I couldn't tell you how many times I get my hand slapped for not signing off on something. So how's that work then?
Yep, so we have a number of different ways for signature sign-off, for data input, for just recording even pictures saying that you were complete. So think, you know, you just performed a step and you want to demonstrate to management that you actually completed something. You can take a photo with the device by simply just making a hand gesture. So you don't even have to touch it. That's the beauty of these devices, is that your hands can be dirty, they can be gloved, they can be holding a piece of equipment, and you can still control and manipulate the device, all by using gestures or voice or any of the above. So not only can you take photos for, say, completion, you can use your voice to record values, and you could even, we're doing a bunch of different things with signatures, number of different ways. We can talk more about that at our booth, about how we're actually collecting signatures to say, I'm done with this step, time to move on.
So, what have been, I got to believe this is a tough sell, Patrick, to our industry. So how's that been working out for you guys? I mean,
Well, I think another real benefit that is because the communication is secure. So when you're in the pharmaceutical industry, there's a lot of information that are highly confidential. They're highly regulated. Everybody's looking over their shoulders. So with the device in there, you can provide different layers of security and protections to make sure the data or that whatever you do not only have audit trail, but make sure that they are tightly guarded. There's another benefit really with the smart glasses, and I think this is part of where, Angelo can elaborate on that as well.
Yeah, and so we thought that adoption was going to be slow, honestly. One of our co-founders was a process engineer for a number of years and came from the industry, knows it very well, spent her whole career here, and this was born out of her pains. And so we thought that a year ago at INTERPHEX, when we first launched, that adoption was going to be slow. But instead, within the first year, we have 5 out of the top 10 using it, 3 out of the top 5 CMOs, and we have a number of other smaller companies already using this because of the wearability and efficiency that it provides, especially around troubleshooting. So troubleshooting remotely is a big deal, and the reason why is because all of our customers have these global facilities, and when things go wrong, it's really expensive and costs a lot of time to fly somebody out there, or they have to wait for their equipment manufacturer to work them through a problem, and instead they're troubleshooting in real time, they're making decisions very quickly, and they're able to get the job done in a very efficient manner.
all right, well, walk me through a troubleshooting. Usually the way it works, I get a telephone call. Hopefully it's in Rockland County usually, but nevertheless, it can be anywhere. But, guy says, here's the problem. We go back and forth, we talk about it. Invariably, you got to get there and take a look at it and see what's going on. So obviously you need local expertise with guys who ran it, the documents that are there, plus your own reference. Okay, so tell me how this makes my job easier.
Yeah, so first of all, in that exact example, You mentioned even, say, having to drive to the facility. So what we're doing immediately is that we've seen several tiers of troubleshooting. The first tier is just as simple as, do we have a problem here? It's the third shift. So a guy gets a call at home. He's woken up in the middle of the night. And now, instead of having to drive to the facility because the operator on the other end of the call can't necessarily describe what's going wrong, or maybe there's a language barrier or any of the above, instead, he or she can be simply on their iPhone at home and be able to see exactly what's going on to know, should I have to escalate this to the next problem.
So he sees what you see, right, Lance?
Exactly. Everything that he sees, I see, and there's full voice and video two-way. So I can be communicating with Lance. Lance can be seeing even what I may be showing him. I could be demonstrating something, and for very simple things that he can even draw, I could even draw in his field of view. So this example of the tier 1 support, say if it's just as simple as turning off an alarm and the operator wasn't comfortable. I can look at what he's doing, I can draw in his field of view and say, see that button right there? That's all you have to do. Just press that and we're good to go. I don't have to drive an hour to the facility.
What do you mean by drawing? Is on your
so,
iPhone?
On the iPhone, I can take my iPhone, I can circle it, and it'll show up on the display so that Lance can see exactly what I'm talking about.
All right.
And then
by tier 1, we're talking?
Yeah, just basic troubleshooting where it's
Okay.
more like, is there a problem here?
Okay.
But then if we start to get more complicated, where you have the global facility and maybe you have an equipment manufacturer and you have multiple facilities trying to troubleshoot a problem all together, there can be several people on this video call at the same time, all seeing what's going on in the facility. So you have the local subject matter expert there with the glasses on, communicating directly with the equipment manufacturer in Italy, and having a subject matter expert somewhere else in the United States or the world. And now all three people who are experts at this are all working together to troubleshoot something in real time. And he can even send documents into here or small bits of information so that, again, the person who's troubleshooting it can have access to not just the raw information, but the kind of tribal knowledge that the collective group has over the phone.
Well, I can say, looking at this from, again, techie, I come out of development. The answer is, what you're talking to me is, we would consider, so it's a tool I can use. But, okay, and I'm gonna go and you're either gonna save me a trip or the guy's not gonna drop his iPhone into the process. Or bottom line is, that's one aspect. But that's only, so I assume that's what you mean by tier 1. So, again, regulated, documented, secure. So, other than that, I mean, how do I get to that? I mean, companies looking at that, I would assume. You said batch records, right?
Yep. So it's not just procedures. We can also pull in batch records. We've done this with one of our customers. We pulled in work instructions from an ELN system. That's from one of our customers. And we're also using it now for training. Because across the industry, there's a big issue with people not being always up to speed across the globe. And so this accounts for, or tries to help, process deviation. So by getting everyone up to speed, you can kind of, you can exactly train somebody with the glasses now. You can monitor them, you can use it for media simulation, you can use it for a number of different training procedures. For example, one of our customers had a brand new way of doing dry steam in one of their facilities, and they had a global audience watching through the eyes of the trainer, and they were able to see exactly how they're using this new piece of equipment, and to ask them questions, ask them questions, then they threw it up on their intranet for later. But in addition to all of that cool stuff, we also do things with safety as well, and electronic lockout tagout. So imagine now you walk up to a piece of equipment that's in use. One of our customers gave us a great story that said a guy was tired at the end of a long day, walked up to a piece of equipment, pulled a sparge out of the bottom of the reactor, and dumped an entire batch on the floor because he wasn't sure, he missed the lockout tagout tag. Instead now, they walk up, they scan in with the status of the equipment, it's immediately pulled up to them to say, hey, this is locked out, and there's a full audit trail for management. So if there's ever an NCE, like, hey, Steve, why did you work on this? We have to write an NCE. There's now an audit trail for management to say, hey, I saw you were warned. What's going on here? We can also read analog gauge values as well by simply looking at an analog gauge, say your facility hasn't converted to digital. Just by looking at it, you can read the value, and it's immediately saved back to a reporting database or something like Pi.
Hey, Patrick, I mean, knowing our industry, I could see what Angelo's telling me, so I see nothing but barriers and hurdles to jump here. So how do you get started?
Well, let me tell you this. When it's all said and done, money talks, right? So to any kind of enterprise, I don't care whether it's pharmaceutical or oil and gas or manufacturing of any sort, when you mentioned the word tool, which is so correct, because it's a new tool that's available to the industry that will save them money. They can save them money by increasing efficiency, loss prevention, just like what Angelo mentioned that. You dumped a batch, you can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars. Those are loss preventions, and also is that efficiency. So those, when it's all said and done, when this is a tool that allows the management to save money by either increase productivity of the employees or or reduce headcount. When there is an ROI, business will look into it. Okay, when Google Glass first came on, people look at it as a toy. Nobody gonna spend $1,500 for a toy. But the thing is, for a company that they can get a return on investment, is a tool. I'm sure in the show floor you can see tools in the pharmaceutical industry that cost $100,000 for some tool, and this is a very, very good investment tool to use, and for the company to increase their bottom line. So I don't see there will be a lot of obstacles out there. It's a matter of whether people actually know it. So the way I look at it here is some companies start having, using that technology, and they're showing to the bottom lines, and the other companies say, I better take a look at it, and this is how you can mushroom. And in a way, we are all pioneers, okay? Like Angelo, he brought this technology into the pharma industry, and I can tell you right now, he has a lot of companies that shown interest, and as other companies know what other companies doing, they can say, I better get in the bandwagon, otherwise I'm gonna lose out, right? So I think the adoption is eventually gonna be there, but it's gonna be a process.
Yeah.
So where's the entry door? It's either some geek like me saying, this is cool, or is it an IT thing? Is it an upgrade? How does it work?
Yep. So how it exactly works is with all of our customers, what we've done is first we come on site. You meet us at a show just like INTERPHEX. We come on site, we do a demo for you and management. And what we like to do is we'd like to start with either, say, something simple, non-GMP, say in your pilot facility or in a location where you're a little bit more comfortable. And what we'll do is we'll work with your process engineering group or any of your other engineering groups, in addition to your IT group, because we also have software that allows this to be controlled from an IT perspective. And this way, if somebody walks out the front door with this device, you can turn it into a brick. You can manage these devices. You can keep them updated. And from there, though, you'd work with a provider like myself, and who then I will turn and say, hey, Lance, I need you to give me 200 pairs of these devices. How can we make this happen? And then I'll also say, Patrick, I need prescription lenses for all of these because I don't want people getting headaches. I want them to be able to use this effectively. And I want to be also able to say, I want to use this in a sort of a clean room environment because Patrick custom developed a shield for these glasses where you can then be able to wear them in a clean room and have no skin exposed. So the combination of all three of us, software, hardware, prescription, will allow a company to get started immediately. A quick little pilot, we prove the effectiveness with the ROI that Patrick was talking about, and then we roll it out from there.
So, a hazardous location, there's always rules, right? That's it. Containment. Well, let's pick one. All right, containment's a big deal. All right, if you guys have worked in containment, you know what a pain in the butt is just to get into the room.
Yep.
So explain to me how that works then.
So we don't have the hardware on the table, but back at the booth we have a number of other options for specific use cases like that.
Right.
Where say something needs to be have a explosive proof rating like class 1 div 2. We have something back there that's for that. But Lance can actually speak to the industrial strength nature of this device because this can be used, and we're using it now in a number of different environments.
Okay.
If you obviously we're talking about pharmaceutical manufacturing and processing sitting here, but warehousing, remote support, training, field service when you're checking, think about pipeline maintenance and things like that. So there's thousands and thousands of these devices out there across different industries. When you bring into pharma, of course, you have a lot of the issues, compliance and things that you talk about. So if you think about this, we as the hardware manufacturers, we provide this is the field of dreams, so to speak, right? So this is the platform, Wi-Fi, camera, Bluetooth, GPS, gyroscope, being able to sense Bluetooth, the camera, the display, all that kind of stuff. We provide this, and it has to be wearable. It has to be something you can put on and wear for an 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
Battery life, things like that. So,
and safety glasses.
And safety glasses, right?
Yeah.
So this is what makes it physically real. Then it comes down to these guys, right? This stuff, you don't just load an app off the App Store out of the box and run your pharmaceutical manufacturing. You need tribal knowledge, you need the experience, the industry experience, and that's where these guys come in. The next step is, will your team actually wear this and use this and acclimate to this type of technology? And that's where Patrick comes in.
Yep.
Lenses, comfort, someone who wears it 8 hours a day, doesn't want to get tired. There's a new paradigm, and it has to be wearable, it has to be usable. Once you get over those humps and you get this in on a basic ROI slam dunk, such as remote support, you get it into your system, people start using it, you as a corporation start to learn about it. These users, the person who wears it 8 hours a day, they're the ones who are going to take the next step. They're the ones who are going to find the next great use case for this. And you're already going to have it in your ecosystem, you're already going to get it through your IT, your HR compliance, and once you're through there, you have it. Don't try to mimic current processes with this device. Do that and go further. You have vision, you're hands-free, you have voice, you have the ability to capture data at a breadth and depth that you never have before. Think about when you fill out a form. Yes, I put red label on here, as opposed to taking a video and annotating notes. I put the red label on it, you take a picture of this, warehouse e-pedigree. It's no more writing down what happened, you just filmed the whole process all the way through. Access immediately, digitized and available to your entire company. It's a complete paradigm shift, and it's about getting in the door, getting something simple out there and started, and then learning and letting this technology grow through your organization. That's going to get you on the leading edge ahead of your competition.
Yeah, just equipping a workforce with prescription or safety glasses alone is a challenge, right? I mean,
Yep.
like for myself, I'm blind as a bat, so invariably I need two. So how do you interface the two?
So basically, yeah, you mentioned that safety is a concern because, obviously it's highly regulated for pharma, and even with OSHA, I mean, they're the safety issues, and one of the things we address. We're going to design different kind of safety shield for different kind of devices so that they will be in compliance with the OSHA regulation. And the prescription side is going to be more complicated because human eyes are a very complicated organ. And they have different kind of problem associated with the eyes. And especially when you have a device that is away from the line of sight, or in situation like this, that is in the line of sight. So, there are physiological issues that we need to build into the prescription lens correction, and that's where we come in. We make prescription lenses, glasses, for, hundreds and thousands of pairs a year. And we understand what will be the problem, the visual problem, when people are wearing this kind of devices, especially in the enterprise setting, whether they will be wearing it for an extended period of time. Also, another factor is the fashion. Okay, all right. I mean, people say I wear Google Glass, I look like a nerd. Okay, so what I do is I put a frame there. So now is kind of dressed up a little bit, take some some nerdiness away from me. And when I've been wearing it for 2 years now, and all I got was curious look and say, hey, what do you have on your face? And in a way is that I can actually demonstrate to people what's the benefit of wearable technology and how devices like this is going to actually change not just the enterprise, but it's going to change the way we going to conduct our life in a few years. I can tell you that.
So, if an analogy would be if you guys were selling a circular saw to a carpenters union, yeah, this is the best circular saw you can get, but how you use it, implement it, and leverage it so that it improves your business is really up to the user.
Exactly.
All right?
Yep. And
So, let me ask you this though. Having said that, I mean, it's still I'm fascinated. The point, Lance talked about voice recognition, all the rest of it.
Yep.
I mean, I've sat in a room excruciating over whose signature this is. So how does all that work? I imagine that's on your end, Angelo? Or
Yep,
what's
that's
it?
all on our end, which complies with 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, where we do a number of things to know exactly who just put on those glasses. The second they take it off the head, because Lance was mentioning there's a gyroscope on here, so I can actually know when this device came off someone's head to say, okay, we just broke the authentication chain, so that now when it goes back on someone's head, I need to re-authenticate to say this is John Smith, he works in this department, et cetera, and John Smith only has access to these applications, these processes, and so when he signs off, we know it's John Smith because we have many, many different ways where we can identify him, whether it's biometric data, say voice recognition to know that it's just John. We can also use ID badges that the one that they have with them, their corporate badge, we can use as well. And then something literally as simple as username and password. At least that way we have two-factor authentication that we always know that that's who it is. And again, the second this comes off somebody's head, it kills the authentication. At least that way we can ensure that this is always John and it's who he says he is. So that when that signature is captured, we knew who it was, we knew when it happened, and we are very confident that it never came off his head, and we know that this is who it is.
So how's the IT groups hit all of this? I mean,
Yep.
you go to them and it's always, it's a headache just to keep everybody's email up and running in SAP and, in enterprise systems.
Yep.
So now we're talking about including a new enterprise system. So what's been the uptake? How do you deal with that?
So IT, actually all three of us work together with another partner who allows us to manage these devices at scale. Because IT, yes, they freak out about this. They say, how am I going to manage hundreds and hundreds of devices? How is it going to happen? How am I going to update software? Oh my God. So instead though, we install software on here with Lance's help, the hardware manufacturer. And this software now will allow IT groups to manage these devices just like they would one of the laptops or one of the desktops that they deploy. It's the exact same way where they say, only John has access to this device. If he physically walks out of the building, we can actually set up perimeters, actual location-based perimeters. When he walks out that front door, that device has been killed and turned off and turned into a brick. And then additionally though, and this is where the compliance aspect comes in, IT has full control to say, okay, comparing this to SAP, when a new update needs to happen, we validate it first, we test it, we say, okay, now we're ready to deploy this. With the one click of a button, they can deploy this to all 100 or 1,000 glasses or more with a simple press of a button. So for IT, it's very easy to manage not just this device, but the software that's on it and all the controls associated with it as well.
Okay. Well, obviously there's a lot. So I assume, one of the things I don't think I have to tell you how long our industry labored with Wi-Fi. Yeah. Like a wireless connection. Oh my God. I mean, there's still firms that don't. So what about the privacy and the security?
Yep.
So
Wi-Fi is interesting. We also thought that most facilities Wi-Fi wouldn't be there. It turns out in the last 2 years, they've seen quite a bit of adoption for Wi-Fi. And so now these devices connect over Wi-Fi in the facilities, and if they don't have Wi-Fi already, we work with them hand in hand to install it. One of our customers did install Wi-Fi for the first time in their facility. This was the catalyst. But what's really neat is that these glasses can stay completely within the corporate firewall. They do not have to go out to the public internet. So when you mention Wi-Fi, it's corporate Wi-Fi. So it hits the corporate Wi-Fi, it stays within the corporate zone, and it never hits the outside internet. So from a security perspective, everything is always self-contained. And then additionally, and not just from a security and Wi-Fi perspective, but again, come back to that walking out the front door example, if somebody did try to walk out the front door, we can kill it. So it's secure not just from an actual Wi-Fi perspective and network perspective, but a physical device perspective as well.
So Angelo, you're talking about killing the device, not the person. Okay.
Yeah, no, the device, not the person.
I just wanted to clarify. I thought maybe you hooked it up with some high voltage. Whack 'em. So let me ask you another question. I mean, I've dealt with, I've been on site where the guy, it was until recently you weren't even allowed to carry a phone that had a camera ready in it, So, but we've come a long way. I FaceTime the same thing, obviously. Yeah. But invariably, as soon as we get to where I gotta be, it drops out. Yeah, but obviously that's because you're trying to use a cell carrier. But I found that, in a lot of cases, Wi-Fi is not consistent. But so Lance, is it that, or is it me? I got to include in my infrastructure. Where's the expense coming in?
You have to deal in reality, unfortunately. And what that means is you will have times where you have access to nice, secure Wi-Fi. There's other times where you might be running off of a hotspot on your phone or something else. And other times there absolutely is no signal. Think about pipeline maintenance in the middle of Montana. All right? These devices are completely self-contained. They can run, they have this one has 10 gigs of memory, the new ones will have 64. They can run on their own. It's almost, they'll buffer the next time they get up into a secure network. So download what you need to do your work function, capture your information, your video, your pictures, your voice annotations, send it back up to the system, grab your next details, and go back to work. So,
Right, so it's not always real time.
you know,
It's okay.
And
Exactly.
in some use cases, you want no connectivity. Think, quite often these are used by doctors in surgery. They don't want Bluetooth or Wi-Fi signals conflicting with any other information in there. It becomes a self-contained device. Once they're done, they're out of the room in a safe area, then they can upload the information for training and sharing and things like that. Or you can hardwire it in, the good old-fashioned wire.
Yeah.
It's an option.
That wouldn't look as cool, though.
Exactly.
It wouldn't look as-
So, where does it fall apart? I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here trying to think of how great it would be. Invariably, in a company, there's people who are paid to be buzzkills. So, you know, let's start with you, Pat. You seem to be more up. You know, the point is, where does it usually try to get dumped?
Well, put it this way: there's always naysayers, especially when you talk about new technologies. There's, you know, people are trying to become insecure. They're not sure, and they try to throw cold water in the whole thing. I think the whole problem here is, like I said, you're gonna have to have not just the staff, the manager, and the senior executive buy-in in this kind of technology. And the bottom line being here is when a device that allows the employee to do their work easier and to provide a company with a better environment to manage the business, and to the executives, when there's money going to the bottom line, I think this kind of adoption will be there. Yes, especially I understand that in the pharma industry, there's a lot of different levels, especially now with external, with the governments and all the agencies, supervisions, all this kind of add together. But when it's all said and done, this is going to be a technology of the future, and it's no different than anything else. People just have to accept that this is what is coming. And I encourage, you know, the audience, just if you don't know what is with the smart glasses and wearable technology, start looking at it right now. The thing right now, if you cannot imagine how iPhone, in a matter of few years, it's just totally lit up the whole world, okay? And this is the way it's going to be with technology.
Well, let me ask you this. So I'm sitting over in a large pharmaceutical company, and given that, you know, like you said, 10 years ago, iPhone, you know, I couldn't tell you how many flip phones I busted, right? So let me ask you this. When does the great aha come? You're talking to a company, when does that come? When does critical mass happen? Is it because they had a catastrophe and this could have stopped it? Or is it that they haven't, what's been your experience? I see Lance, you're chomping at the bit.
I want to jump in on this because there's three of us up here, right? So hardware, software, usability. There's a fourth, right? And that's everybody out there. And the biggest hurdle that I see, just to go on to this before we move forward, is...
You counted me out, I noticed that. That's okay.
and our spectators and fans, we'll call you a fan.
Okay.
So one of the biggest issues is access to the data. These are great, stuff we're talking about is awesome. We're gonna have to really use these effectively. We're gonna go across several data silos within your organization. You know they don't like to talk to each other, if they even know how to talk to each other, right? So that's on the corporation side. Willingness to get groups involved that may not be key stakeholders in the results from this, but by combining everybody, giving access to the data in a secure way, a safe way, a compliant way, that's the aha moment. Because what we're talking about is siloed applications, support for manufacturing, maintenance for manufacturing, warehousing. But once you can start using these glasses and sharing that data, not just getting the data here, but taking the data that you capture when you put these devices on in terms of digitizing the notes, film, pictures, process control, the lab of the future, multiple people doing experiments, the camera's watching. Throw that up on your system, do some artificial intelligence, and now turn this into a competitive advantage. That's the aha moment when you start connecting your entire organization through a whole different paradigm of technology.
You know, it's interesting. We had a client, we still have a client actually, and they were building e-lab notebooks. All right, they'll rename nameless, but what I found was in their particular case, with eLab notebooks, I guess this may be a question more for Angelo, they had to do a brain dump on every SME they got to get this thing to really work out the way it should, I guess. Is there something is that kind of a hurdle for this or not?
So we knew that was going to be a challenge. And so we decided that we weren't going to reinvent the wheel. So that ELN that you're talking about, they're already good at it. I don't want to recreate an ELN system. I don't want to recreate SAP. I don't want to recreate a document management system. So what we're really good at, and this is what I spent my entire career doing prior to this, is integrating with big systems. So instead of having that SME do a brain dump, instead of having to spend 2 years getting SAP up and running, we instead pull from that system directly into the glasses so that we take what you already have and bring that into a form factor that makes the most sense. And we do a lot of other things that make it more usable and comply with a lot of other things as well. But the whole point is that we can get you there faster because we take what you already have. And we're not reinventing the wheel. We pull from what you already have.
And ELN?
ELNs, batch record systems, both of those we've done already.
Yeah.
We've done simple stuff like integrating with SharePoint that pulls simple Word documents. We've done stuff like that. We're working on an SAP module as well. We can do stuff like that. So any type of corporate system that you already have data in that you need to pull data from or send data to, like say Pi for reporting, we can do that as well.
Well, I mean, haven't been in troubleshooting and production support for years. I see the big advantage. One thing I hated was not only did I have to travel to East Jabip to look at this thing, then I had to write about it for all the non-combatants. You know? So does this go from voice to
text?
Yeah.
Full voice to text, where as you're speaking, it will dictate. And we've gotten it so smart now where we will work with our customers to decrease background noise, because say if you have a centrifuge over your head, it's kind of hard to hear. So instead though, we can actually filter out that background noise to get it so that it's just the voice coming out of your mouth. And that way it's crystal clear and we can actually convert it to text. But say, for example, something went wrong with the speech to text. We still have the recording, it's always there. And so you can always go back and say, okay, I can listen to this, and this is what I said, this is what I did. It's always there for posterity for reporting as well.
And so if I walk into a place and that is capable of recording my entire experience, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
I come back out and then I can upload it to the system.
It's already uploaded.
Okay.
When you walked out, it's already there.
It's there.
You don't touch a thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's really, personally, I see that as a huge advantage. Because in our industry, I always call it, you were an amphitheater. Invariably, having been the guy, was always the guy who went out there to get hit with the stones.
Yeah.
You got 3 people who are going to do the validation, who's going to make the 3 batches, and then you can come back and you have to report it to 200 people who had no skin in the game at all. So this whole thing, I think, would be, it brings the enterprise together, I would think.
It does, and it's not just about, where you're getting to is the depth and the breadth of information you can capture with this, as opposed to just writing it down. But the way that this can help work someone through an actual process workflow, you don't get step 3 until step 2 is done.
Yeah.
So think about when you're filling out a compliance document, how many times is it right or wrong or just incomplete? Incomplete is wrong, right? Just by using this to work someone through this workflow, incomplete goes away. You don't get to step 3 until step 2 is done, and verified. Mm-hmm. Right, so that kind of stuff is what just this does. Oh, and by the way, you do it faster by using this. So think about that, compliance and efficiency together.
So how do you get around the old 2 sign-off bit with that?
So we're doing a number.
It's always you and him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? You watch him, he watches you. So how do you get around that?
We're actually, our goal is to replace 2 sign-off.
Gotcha.
It's literally our goal. And one of our customers, when we met them here at INTERPHEX last year, said, please get rid of this because I can't stand it. And so that is literally the whole goal, and we've been working on it last year. We have demos over at our booth on how we're doing that as well.
It's very good. Actually, we got about 5 minutes before we move on. So is there any questions from the audience here? I don't know about, I don't want to dominate this whole thing. Is anybody got anything they would like to ask or have explained, or certainly, what booth are you guys?
3773, and we have a full, outside of our booth, a full augmented reality cube where you can actually try these glasses on and work through a troubleshooting procedure right then and there. So you can actually experience what it's like to have these glasses on firsthand.
Okay. All right. So one last question, and this is really for Pat. What are gold lenses, Patrick? I mean,
It's not the goal.
so it's not a fashion statement, I think.
Well, put it this way: one of the things what we want to do is we want to design the frames or with the lens carrier. We call that this more fashionable, that people wear it will be kind of more like glasses. But GOLD, the GOLD is an acronym actually. It stands for Smart Glasses Optimized Lens Design. So our lenses is our proprietary lens that optimize the viewing zone to allow people with different prescription to be able to see the display with visual acuity and with comfort. So it's really an optimized. There's a special proprietary logarithm that we do calculations to determine based on the person's prescription and the perceived depth of the image to make the final the what we call a compensation optimization to allow the viewer to see better.
Okay. And where does the total immersion virtual part come in?
So that is a different scenario where with the virtual reality, and as a matter of fact, right now you can see a lot of talks out there because it's an immersive environment. So that means when you wear a virtual reality device, your senses, not just visual, but your hearing is captured by the device. So whatever the program that is playing inside the virtual reality, you'll be kind of like you are in there, and that's really is the advantage of that, because you can do a lot of virtual simulation. So imagine that right now there's an open house, okay. You have to actually drive there to go into there to look at the houses and so on and so forth. But imagine that you can capture the inside of the house on a 360 video, and you can basically put it on the website, and somebody else that wear that virtual reality device can actually wear it and picture themselves as if they are inside that house, and they walk to different rooms. They can get the feel. Look at the window. How is it like that on the view? All sort of stuff is what simulation is all about, and virtual reality is one of the best things you can do that. And I can tell you that it's going to change how you're going to experience life with VR.
I can say this much. I know in the engineering areas that I deal with in certain cases, and in fact, the guys who are here on continuous process, what we'll do is once we know what the thing should be, we put it together so that you actually get a walkthrough. Rather than look at a bunch of two-dimensional paper, you walk through the process, and all of a sudden it's amazing how many things, well, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So, but there is a lot of upfront, I think there's a lot of upfront work that has to be done to get to that point.
For a solution like that, yeah.
But other than that, unless there's any other questions, I see nobody chomping at the bit here, so want to thank everybody. Thank you very much. And that's it for this section of INTERPHEX Live. Thanks a lot, Angelo.
Thank you.
Classic. Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right. There you go.
Pharmaceutical Processing, in conjunction with INTERPHEX 2016, presents INTERPHEX Live.